Hey photographers, it's Michelle and welcome back to another video in this series all about senior model teams. And I'm so excited about this video because when I first start talking to photographers about senior model teams or senior rep teams, however you want to say it, I usually get immediately hit with some of their biggest fears. I want to do a team, but I live in a small town. I want to do a team now, but I'm just worried I don't have enough clientele to start with. Or I would love to do a team, but I'm worried I don't have enough time, etc. And I get it. And I mean, I truly get it. If you missed my origin story and how I got started and some of the struggles I went through, I will link it down in the description box below. But in this video, I want to help kind of talk through some of those fears and hopefully encourage you and debunk some of those fears to get you to actually go forth and have a team and prosper. No, but seriously, have a successful team and do this for real. Before I roll that intro trailer, I just want to remind you, if you haven't already, I have a freebie down in the description box below of 10 different model team activities that you can do with your model team that are actually not photo shoots, that don't take a lot of time to plan and aren't even very expensive, if any money at all, but they add so much value to your team. So if you would love to get those ideas and see if you can implement any of those into your program, grab that down in the description box below and let's get into this. So senior model team myth number 1 is I'm worried how much time it will take. So whether you're a busy mom, maybe you have multiple jobs, or maybe you're just in a season of your life where your time is very limited, that concern is valid. I mean, putting on a team, launching a team does take extra time. But I just want to encourage you right now that the fact that you're even asking that question means you're way ahead of the curve than those that don't. Those that don't are the ones I worried about the most because they usually jump right in. They say they'll figure it out as they go. They'll make it work, you know, and there is some validity to that too. But often those are the ones that get overwhelmed and burned out and are not able to deliver on the team experience. Which rolls into the biggest piece of advice I have for that, or to debunk that myth, is you can absolutely still do a team, but you're just gonna have to be really intentional with your time and you're gonna have to plan. And I also wanna encourage you that every year you do this, the easier it will get. The very first year you build a team is gonna be your most time consuming year, right? Because you're probably creating your launch materials, contract together, and you're trying to plan activities and photo shoots. You might not know like what works best, what doesn't. If you've never done like a large group photo shoot before, that can be a learning experience. So yes, that takes a little extra time, but after you do 1 year, you're able to really figure out what works well and maybe what doesn't, and it also really helps you plan for the following year. So what I would recommend you do before you start a team is be really honest with yourself. If you have an extra hour a week to work on your team, perfect. Like I honestly do maybe an event or photo shoot with my team every other month, if that, and that's only a couple hours at a time. Obviously there's a couple hours to plan before that, but I just sit down with a calendar and I write the months that we're doing an activity and I work backwards. I do 1 month before that and I schedule out an hour to plan the event, and that's usually all I need now, if not less than that. If you want to give yourself a little bit more time, then that's fine, but I say if you have an hour a week to work on building your rep program, and that's from like starting from scratch, then you can make this team work for you. Like it doesn't have to be this huge daunting task. You just have to be intentional. You have to carve out a little bit of that time so that you can really plan and so things don't sneak up on you. Like you are allowed to dictate your schedule. So let me repeat that again for those that need that permission. You, as the business owner, are allowed to dictate your schedule. You can still offer so much value to your team without it taking over your life. Just remember that anything above and beyond their senior pictures is adding value, is adding this experience for them. So you don't have to do something every month, nor would I ever advise that. Please don't do that. But you just think of it as like touch points throughout the year. So gone are the days where you've had to do like put on this big old fashion show, have the girls model, and make it like a big star-studded event for them to come on your team. That was popular 5 to 7 years ago. That isn't required today. This generation really craves relationship, and it doesn't take much for them to feel special. And I don't mean that in the way of like you're not gonna put time and effort into it, but it doesn't need to be this like where you feel like you're an event planner, right? The last thing I wanna say about the myth of not having enough time is that you do get out what you put into your team, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Literally a couple hours a month and you can make your team very successful. So I hope that encourages you that you can totally have a team and it not run your entire life. Okay, so myth number 2 that I want to talk about is I live in a small town, or there's not really a lot of senior model teams in my area. When I hear these 2 myths or fears or whatever you want to call them, I actually get super excited for you because I actually look at this as a huge advantage. If you live in a small town, or even if senior reps, the idea of senior model teams, rep teams are not like big in your area, then you have a chance to be like the pioneer. You have the chance to offer something that no one else is offering, and it can be something really exclusive and really valuable and super exciting for your potential senior clients. And honestly, the word of mouth will travel even faster if you don't have a lot of this in your area, whether by population or it's just not something that's around in your town. So what you'll have to do to combat this is you're just gonna have to do a lot of client education, is what I call it. You're gonna have to really explain what it is, because if you just say model team, I just know from experience that parents' ears kind of perk up as a red flag, like, oh, I don't want my daughter modeling for some photographer, or, I mean, it can feel weird. So you're really just gonna have to over explain yourself on what this team is and really like answer the basic questions over and over again. Like, what is your team? Who is it for? What do team members do? So really kind of, and it should be just like a couple sentence answer. It shouldn't be like this long life story, but you want to create value that makes sense to parents and teens. So again, I would literally just write down a couple sentences and answer those 3 questions. And you're going to share that over and over again on social media, any invitation you send, email, all that stuff. You're just going to answer this question, and you really just got to educate people what it looks like, what does it mean to be on the team, and you are going to feel like you are repeating yourself over and over again, but good. Like, that's what it takes in order for you, especially if it's your first year. Although you may feel you don't have a big of a pool to pull from than some other areas, I want you to like encourage you that you really just need to define what a successful team is for you. What is that number? How many girls or guys do you need on your team to make it worth it for you? And just focus on that. Don't worry about reaching every single possible high school student around you. You know what I mean? Just worry about getting those on your team, and how you're going to do that is by over explaining the basics. What your team is, who is it for, what do they do, what does it look like to be in your team, and why should they join? If you can answer those questions and answer them both for parents and teens, you're gonna get a team. I don't care where you live, I don't care if you're in the biggest city or smallest, you're gonna be able to find team members that are so excited to work with you. Myth number 3, or fear number 3, is I'm overwhelmed and I don't know where to start. Building a model team can be super overwhelming, especially when you think about not only having to build the program, but to market it, hold parent meetings, contracts, onboarding the girls, actually executing the team well. Like, I get it. It is a lot. If you're at that starting point, kind of from ground zero, you don't even know where to start, I would outline and answer some of these basic questions I'm going to give you. So the first thing I would do is write who is the perfect fit for your team. So what characteristics, what are you really hoping for a team member to bring? Who would be like your ideal client basically for your team member? Number 2, what benefits are you going to offer your team, or perks? So what does your team members get for being on the team? And then 3rd, what expectations do you have from your team members? Like, what do you expect them to give you in return for all the perks and benefits that you're going to give them? 4, how long is your team? So depending on when you like to launch and when it ends, typically when they graduate, right? How long is your team program run? How many team members you want, right? We need a goal. We need something to define if it's successful for you. And the last thing I would outline from the beginning, which is actually overlooked, is when you typically do all the senior portraits for your team members, and then what the team activities, photo shoots look like throughout the year. So give you a rough like snapshot of the year, what that looks like for you, that works for you and where you're at. So if you outline all those things, you're well on your way to having a really good structure for your program and really being able to build from that. So I hope that was helpful. Okay, so myth number 4 is I'm afraid my clientele is too low, or I don't have a lot of seniors I work with, or you get the point. And I mean, I get it. I was there. I started from scratch. I nerd out on stuff like this because there are many ways to grow your audience. And I'm excited because tomorrow I'm going to share the first thing I would do in order to grow my audience if I was starting from scratch all over again. So you'll want to make sure to check out tomorrow's video. But I nerd out on stuff like this because there's a couple things I really want you to focus on to help you get out of this like fear, this mental block that you might be having with the clientele. So the 2 absolute best things you can do for your business, whether you want seniors or marketing to other clients, just growing your audience in general for potential clients, is 1, being an action taker, and 2, client education. So let's break this down a little bit. So 1, when I say be an action taker, I mean going to your audience, going to your potential client versus waiting for them to come to you. Gone are the days where you can just post your beautiful work and then expect people to just land on your page and then follow you and get booked by you. Like, I get it. That's what I wish we could do. But it just, with the algorithm nowadays and with the barrier of entry to photography being so low, I mean, good photography is expected now. With all the education out there and with everyone can be self-taught, and there's so many affordable, good quality cameras out there, that it's just expected that your photography is going to be good. So if you can't stand out with photography, how else are you going to stand out, right? And I actually think offering a senior model team is the way to stand out, by offering such an exclusive offer, by offering something that a lot of photographers aren't willing to do because it does take some time, it takes effort. You're just going to stand out because you are offering something really valuable, something extra different. So because you have something unique and different to offer versus literally I hear the same thing on repeat, talking about the weather in their captions or just how much fun they had with their session. And like, let's be honest, we didn't all have that much fun on our sessions. And it's just like nothing stands out. They're all beautiful work and I appreciate all of them. And there's some that you can tell their styles maybe, but like that's not enough to get someone to like put down some money and work with you. So what can you offer that's so different? And I honestly think it's a senior model team. And the second thing to focus on to get you growing your audience and potential team members is that client education, meaning talking about the experience you offer, talking about what makes you unique, what makes your business unique, what is beyond just the pretty pictures, like why should they go to you versus going to someone else, or why should they follow you versus following someone else. Like, we all are enamored on social media, so give them a reason to follow you. Again, spoiler alert, by having a senior model team, you're having a chance to do all this cool content and creative shoots and just content in slow mo's when other photographers aren't posting. Like, it gives you such an opportunity to just be in front of mind, give them a reason to follow you. If you can just focus on being an action taker, going to your potential client on social media, inviting people into your world, social media, and offering something exclusive. Give them a reason to follow you. Tell them why they should follow you and why they should book with you. Then you will grow your clientele. Okay, so here's the deal. I was debating whether to share this in this video because I was gonna wait till tomorrow, but I don't think I can wait. If you're saying, okay, Michelle, I get it. I get that I have a valuable asset with the senior model team, but what can I actually do? Like, how do I get the offer in front of these potential model team members? How do I find them? I've got you. I have finally created a senior model team 101 course. Cue the confetti, sound the applause. I am so stoked, and I'm going to share more about this later, but just know that this course is a step-by-step process of what to offer to your team, how to find those potential model team members, how to launch the team so that you can get people to be excited to sign up for your team, how to deliver on that experience that you're promising them throughout the year. If you are ready to reach your financial goals, be the go-to senior photographer in your area, and start saying no to the work that you don't want to do anymore, this course is for you. you. All the information I'm sharing in that course is exactly what I've shared with my one-on-one photography mentor clients, and it's what got them to be successful. And so I will leave a link down in the description box, of course, so that you can see more about it. If you're ready to be the action taker and really do this thing for real, but you just need a little guidance or a little extra help to fill in the gaps, then I'm really excited to invite you to take this course. If you have any questions about the course, or you just want to comment on maybe one of these fears that resonated with you, then please comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And until tomorrow's video, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.